Mega cabinet expansion of India government. 43 ministers take oath of office in secrecy. 15 cabinet ministers take oath, while 28 ministers of state also sworn in. As Council of Ministers, Prime Minister Narendra Modi congratulates the new ministers. Seven ministers promoted: Kiren Rijiju, Hardeep Puri, Purushottam Rupala, G. Kishan Reddy sworn in as cabinet ministers. Former Chief Ministers Narayan Rane and Sarbananda Sonowal also made cabinet ministers. Jyotiraditya Scindia, Pashupatinath Paras, Ashwani Vaishnav, Bhupendra Yadav, new faces of the mega cabinet. OBs, SC, ST and minorities get representation in the cabinet. States also get proper representation in the Council of Ministers. Professionals with experience from various fields, including doctors, engineers, teachers, get a seat at the table. Seven women ministers take oath: Anupriya Patel, Meenakshi Lekhi, Darshana Vikram, Shobha Karandlaje make the cut. Youth also get adequate representation. Union Health Secretary's letter on containing COVID-19 advises Assam, Odisha, Kerala among 9 states of the country on curbing the pandemic spread. COVID vaccination coverage exceeds 36.45 crore in the country. COVID-19 recovery rate in the country stands at over 97%. Veteran actor, tragedy king Dilip Kumar passes away at the age of 98 after prolonged illness. Prime Minister, President and the film fraternity express shock and grief. And in sports, Italy advanced to Euro 2020 final, defeating Spain by 4-2 in penalty shootout. England to face Denmark in the second semi-final today. Dream final in Copa America as Argentina beat Colombia to face Brazil in the decider. Good afternoon. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh. In mega cabinet expansion of India government, 43 ministers took oath of office in secrecy. 15 cabinet ministers were sworn in, while 28 ministers of state also took oath in the Council of Ministers. 7 current ministers were promoted as cabinet ministers. Former Chief Ministers Narayan Rane, Sarbananda Sonowal also made it to the cabinet league. Jyotiraditya Scindia, Pashupatinath Paras, Ashwani Vaishnav, Bhupendra Yadav, the new faces of the mega cabinet.
On Wednesday evening, all eyes were on the Darbar Hall of Rashtrapati Bhavan. The question on everyone's mind: what will the expanded Modi Cabinet 2.0 look like? Guests and new ministers started arriving from 5 o'clock onwards. The ceremony started with the national anthem at exactly 6 o'clock. After this, the process of swearing-in ceremony started. The cabinet ministers were the first to take oath. Former Maharashtra Chief Minister Narayan Rane was first off the block. After this, the former Chief Minister of Assam, Sarbananda Sonowal, took oath. Next was Dr. Virendra Kumar, Jyotiraditya Scindia, JDU President Ramchandra Prasad Singh, Ashwani Vaishnav, Pashupati Kumar Paras of LJP also took oath. After this, ministers of the current government who have been promoted took oath. Kiren Rijiju, Rajkumar Singh, Hardeep Singh Puri and Mansukh Mandavia are among these. After this, BJP leader Bhupendra Yadav took oath as a cabinet minister. 3 ministers in the current government also took oath. Among them are Purushottam Rupala, G. Kishan Reddy and Anurag Thakur. Altogether, 15 people took oath as cabinet ministers. After this, the process of taking oath of ministers of state started. A total of 28 ministers of state took oath, in which Pankaj Chaudhary, Anupriya Patel, Satyapal Singh Baghel, Bhanu Pratap Singh Verma from UP, leaders like Kaushal Kishore, Ajay Kumar have also been inducted. Rajiv Chandrasekhar and Shobha Karandlaje from Karnataka also took oath. Meenakshi Lekhi from Delhi and Shantanu Thakur from West Bengal are among the other prominent ministers. Out of the 43 ministers inducted, 15 got cabinet rank and 28 are ministers of state. 36 new faces have been included, while 7 old ministers have been promoted. Ahead of the swearing-in ceremony, 12 ministers of the Modi government resigned. Ministers who have resigned are D.V. Sadananda Gowda, Ravi Shankar Prasad, Thawar Chand Gehlot, Ramesh Pokhriyal Nishank, Dr. Harshvardhan, Prakash Javadekar, Santosh Kumar Gangwar, Babul Supriyo, Sanjay Thotre, Ratan Lal Kataria, Pratap Chand Sarangi, Debosri Chaudhuri. This was the first cabinet expansion of Modi 2.0 government. An attempt has been made to give representation to every part of the country and section of society. Overall, the change in the cabinet is the hallmark of the Modi government's resolve to become everyone's government. Bureau Report, DD India.
And Prime Minister Narendra Modi congratulated all the colleagues who have taken oath on Tuesday and wished them the very best for their ministerial tenure. In a message, he said, "We will continue working to fulfill aspirations of the people and build a strong and prosperous India. Hashtag Government for Growth." Let's now take a look at the rationale of the Union Council of Ministers in this special report.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi's new cabinet represents the lives, hopes and aspirations of 130 crore Indians. The new cabinet is also the youngest cabinet so far. With the vision of Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas and Sabka Vishwas, the new cabinet under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi also focuses on minimum government, maximum governance. The new cabinet has a significant OBC imprint, increased women representation, state leaders with strong administrative experience and people with professional background. To innovate and to bring change, the new cabinet focuses on youngsters. Average age of the new cabinet now stands at 58 years, which was earlier at 61 years.
मैं हृदय की गहराइयों से उनके प्रति कृतज्ञ और मेरी कोशिश होगी कि हर मेहनत के साथ हर संभव प्रयास के साथ उनकी आशाओं पर खड़े उतर पाऊं।
प्रधानमंत्री जी, पार्टी के सभी लोग, अध्यक्ष जी और अपने सभी नेता अमित भाई को सबको धन्यवाद देना चाहती हूँ ये मौका देने के लिए। और इस क्षेत्र की जनता, देश की जनता जिसने हम पे विश्वास किया है, पूर्ण निष्ठा के साथ, पूरी ईमानदारी के साथ जो भी सेवा हो पाएगी वो की जाएगी।
14 ministers are below the age of 50, including 6 cabinet ministers. The new cabinet focuses on experienced ministers, with 46 ministers having experience of being ministers in the central government. 23 ministers have been elected to parliament for 3 or more MP terms, bringing in more than a decade of parliamentary legislative experience. New cabinet also focuses on experience from states, bringing the soul of federalism into the central government.
जिस समय 2017 का चुनाव हुआ था उस समय ब्रज क्षेत्र का मैं अध्यक्ष था भाजपा का, और हमने 65 में से 57 सीटें जीती थी और उस समय पार्टी का लक्ष्य था 265 प्लस। लेकिन हमारा जो कार्यकर्ता था वो कहता था अब की बार 300 पार, तो हमने 325 के साथ हमने सरकार बनाई थी। और अब तो माननीय योगी जी के नेतृत्व में जो हमने काम किए हैं तो उसे हम कह सकते हैं कि अब की बार हम 300 पार फिर करेंगे और 2022 में फिर सरकार बनाएंगे।
नरेंद्र मोदी साहब जो भी जिम्मेदारी देते हैं वो डेडिकेशन के साथ, डिसिप्लिन के साथ, डेवलपमेंट के साथ और काम करने वाले हैं। आने वाले दिन में जो भी आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी जिम्मेदारी देते हैं वो काम और डेडिकेशन के साथ काम करेंगे।
The new cabinet has 4 former chief ministers, 18 former ministers in state governments and 39 former MLAs, bringing in state legislative experience to the new cabinet. As far as women representation is concerned, there are 11 women ministers from across 9 states and 9 communities, while there will be 2 women cabinet ministers.
पार्टी ने दायित्व दिया सरकार में माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने लिया है। उन्होंने जो काम देंगे वो काम करेंगे, ईमानदारी से, मेहनत से काम करेंगे।
ये कार्यकर्ता के लिए एक गौरव का बात है, क्योंकि मैं पार्टी के लिए 30 साल से काम किया। एक कार्यकर्ता को पार्टी क्या करते है इसको मैं उदाहरण हूँ। पार्टी में काम करने वाले कार्यकर्ता लोग हैं। सरकार का जिम्मेदारी दिया तो सरकार में करना, नहीं तो पार्टी में काम करना, दोनों काम ही है। ये सरकार को होता है, पार्टी का होता है। वो सभी लोग पार्टी में जाएंगे, पार्टी में काम करेंगे।
जो जिम्मेवारी मिली है इसके लिए आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी को और संगठन के आदरणीय अध्यक्ष जी को, संगठन के सभी माननीयों के प्रति आभार व्यक्त करते हैं कि बहुत बड़ी जवाबदेही हमें दिया गया है और इस जवाबदेही को ईमानदारी के साथ निर्वहन करना ये हमारा पहला प्रयास होगा।
The new cabinet has a record 12 SC ministers having representation from Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, West Bengal, Karnataka, Rajasthan and Tamil Nadu. The new cabinet has 8 ST and 27 OBC ministers.
सामाजिक न्याय की चिंतन धारा को हमारी पार्टी सड़क से लेकर संसद तक आगे बढ़ाने का काम करती आई है और अब और भी ज्यादा मजबूती से हम इसके प्रति संकल्पबद्ध रहेंगे।
There is one Muslim, one Sikh, one Christian, 2 Buddhist ministers in the new cabinet. Diverse communities have representation in the new Council of Ministers. The new cabinet also brings in educational, professional and functional experience. The new cabinet has 13 lawyers, 6 doctors, 5 engineers, civil servants, 7 PhDs, 3 MBAs and 68 graduate degrees. The new Council of Ministers, like a rainbow council, represents the vibrancy and diversity of communities, regions, expertise from across the country. Newsnight Desk, DD India.
And let's now listen into some reactions that have come in from the new cabinet ministers.
जहाँ भी मौका देगा हम लोग को जनता का सेवा करना चाहिए। जब भी और जहाँ भी जो हमको जिम्मेदारी दिया जाएगा वो जिम्मेदारी को हम दिल से एक तपस्या करके हम लोगों के लिए काम करते रहेंगे। यही हमारा पार्टी ने हमको सिखाया है और यही प्रधानमंत्री जी का अपेक्षा है हम लोगों से।
माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी का आभार व्यक्त करता हूँ कि उन्होंने मुझ पर इतना विश्वास किया और पहली बार मैं लोकसभा का सदस्य चुनाव जीत के आया हूँ और मुझको उन्होंने भारत सरकार के कैबिनेट मंत्री बनाने का निर्वाचित किया उन्होंने। मैं इसके लिए उनका आभार व्यक्त करता हूँ और साथ ही मैं जहाँ से मैं जीत के आया हूँ, हाजीपुर संसदीय क्षेत्र से मैं जीत के आया हूँ, हाजीपुर की जनता का भी मैं आभार करता हूं, मैं उनको नमन करता हूं, मैं उनको प्रणाम करता हूं। जो मुझको जवाबदेही मिली है मैं पूरी निष्ठा से, पूरी ईमानदारी से मैं सेवा करूंगा। जो भी विभाग मिलेगा मैं उसकी सेवा करूंगा।
तो दायित्व ये जनता की सेवा करने के लिए और एक बड़े मौका भी है। तो प्रधानमंत्री ने जो दायित्व देंगे वही दायित्व हम ठीक से निर्वाह करेंगे और जनता के लिए काम भी करेंगे और इसके कारण भी हम पश्चिम बंगाल में भी वो काम और अच्छे से कर सकते हैं, हमारी कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसी में भी करेंगे, जनता के लिए काम करना बस।
Moving on, in some sad news, legendary actor Dilip Kumar passed away at 7:30 Wednesday morning after prolonged illness at a city hospital in Mumbai. He was 98 years old. The actor was admitted to a city hospital last Wednesday after facing breathlessness. He survived by his wife, actor Saira Banu. Here's a tribute to the late icon.
Born to a humble family in Peshawar as Muhammad Yusuf Khan on December 11, 1922, the young Dilip Kumar went to school in Deolali, Maharashtra, where his fruit merchant father owned orchards. He adopted the screen name Dilip Kumar in keeping up with the traditions of the early Hindi filmdom. He debuted as an actor in the film Jawar Bhata, released in 1944, but it was Andaz in 1949 that catapulted him to fame. The prolific legend was part of comedies, dramas, romance and epic dramas. Some of his best-known films include Mela, Shaheed, Andaz, Aan, Daag, Devdas, Naya Daur, Madhumati, Azad, Mughal-e-Azam, Ganga Jamuna, Kranti, Karma, Ram Aur Sham, among others. Dilip Sahab, known to generations of film-goers as Tragedy King for his portrayal of the brooding, intense romantic in classics such as Mughal-e-Azam, he ruled every young cinegoer's heart in independent India. Ever since Dilip Kumar's death announcement was announced in a tweet on his official account, tributes started pouring in from all quarters. President Ramnath Kovind, Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Home Minister Amit Shah and other stalwarts across party lines and the cinematic fraternity condoled the death of Dilip Kumar. President Ramnath Kovind, expressing anguish on the demise of actor Dilip Kumar, tweeted, Dilip Kumar summarized in himself a history of emerging India. The thespian's charm transcended all boundaries, and he was loved across the subcontinent. With his demise, an era ends. Dilip Sahab will live forever in the heart of India. Condolences to family and countless fans. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu, expressing grief on the demise of actor and former Rajya Sabha member Dilip Kumar, tweeted, "In the death of Dilip Kumar, the world of cinema has lost one of the greatest Indian actors." He said, although known by the sobriquet Tragedy King, the legendary thespian was one of the most versatile actors and essayed a variety of roles from social dramas to romantic hero with equal felicity. Some of his roles in films like Amar, Naya Daur, Ganga Jamuna, Madhumati and Ram and Shyam remain etched in memory. He said, the natural actor is universally seen as an institution in himself and credited with bringing method acting to Indian cinema. The Vice President expressed condolences to his family members and his legion of fans in India and abroad. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has also expressed grief on the demise of legendary actor Dilip Kumar. In a tweet, Mr. Modi said, Dilip Kumar ji will be remembered as a cinematic legend. He was blessed with unparalleled brilliance, due to which audiences across generations were enthralled. His passing away is a loss to our cultural world. Condolences to his family, friends and innumerable admirers. Rest in peace. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh has also expressed anguish on the demise of legendary actor Dilip Kumar. In a tweet, Mr. Singh said, Dilip Kumar was an outstanding actor, a true thespian who was well regarded by everyone for his exemplary contribution to the Indian film industry. The minister said his performances in films like Ganga Jamuna touched a chord in millions of cinegoers. Mr. Singh said he had met Dilip Kumar in person when he went to Mumbai to present the Padma Vibhushan to him. He said it was a special moment for him to interact with the legendary actor. The Defence Minister said his demise is a monumental loss to the Indian cinema. He expressed condolences to the family, friends and fans of Dilip Kumar. Home Minister Amit Shah has expressed grief on the demise of the late actor. Mr. Shah tweeted, Dilip Kumar ji was a veritable legend of the silver screen. In him, Indian cinema has lost one of the greatest actors. The Home Minister said he has entertained generations of cinema lovers with his incredible acting and iconic roles. He expressed condolences to Dilip Kumar's family and followers. Dilip Kumar was awarded the prestigious Padma Bhushan Award in 1991 for his outstanding contribution to Indian cinema. Kumar was bestowed with Dadasaheb Phalke Award in 1994 and Padma Vibhushan in 2015. The government of Pakistan conferred Kumar with Nishan-e-Imtiaz, the highest civilian award in Pakistan, in 1998. Described by Satyajit Ray as the ultimate method actor, Dilip Kumar's resume contains many of Indian cinema's landmark, genre-defining roles. The legend mesmerized his fans with his masterly acting and impeccable dialogue delivery to make a special place in the hearts of millions for his portrayal of the intense romantics such as Mughal-e-Azam and Devdas. The thespian embodied the best of India through his work and over 7 decades in public life. The legend of the Indian cinema was the last of the golden troika with Raj Kapoor and Dev Anand. Amitabh Bachchan, who co-starred with him in Shakti, said that an institution has gone. He tweeted, "Whenever the history of Indian cinema will be written, it shall always be before Dilip Kumar and after Dilip Kumar. My duas for peace of his soul and the strength to the family to bear this loss. Deeply saddened." Among the many who paid their tributes to the actor was Subhash Ghai, who worked with him in Karma and Saudagar, and Akshay Kumar, among others. Dilip Kumar, who died at the age of 98, was buried with state honours at the Juhu Cemetery in Mumbai's Santa Cruz on Wednesday evening. The funeral was relatively muted because of COVID-19 restrictions. Only family and close friends attended. Most of the actor's celebrity colleagues paid their last respects at his residence earlier on Wednesday. Even though Dilip Sahab is no more with us and the void he leaves behind can perhaps never be filled, but his splendid body of work, his acting prowess and versatility is an inspiration for future filmmakers and actors to learn from. Bureau Report, DD India.
On behalf of Prime Minister and Ministry of I&B, officials laid wreath at Dilip Kumar's residence at Pali Hill. Bandra extended their condolences to his wife Saira Banu. They conveyed the message of Government of India to late Dilip Kumar's family.
Legendary actor Dilip Kumar passed away at 7:30 Wednesday morning after a prolonged illness at a city hospital in Mumbai. He was 98. The actor was admitted to a city hospital last Wednesday after facing breathlessness. Ever since Dilip Kumar's death announcement was announced in a tweet on his official account, tributes started pouring in from all quarters. On behalf of the Government of India, Ministry of Information and Broadcasting officials laid the wreath at Dilip Kumar's residence at Pali Hill in Bandra. They extended condolences to Saira Banu and conveyed the message of the Government of India. Dilip Kumar's extraordinary contribution to Indian cinema will be remembered for generations to come.
Some COVID-related updates now. Union Health Secretary's letter on containing COVID-19 advises Assam, Odisha, Kerala among 9 states of the country on curbing the pandemic spread. Total 43,733 new cases have been reported in the past 24 hours.
There has been a steady decline in new cases of COVID-19 in the country since last month, and the second wave is largely under control. However, there are 80 districts in the country where the rate of infection is worrying. Maharashtra, Karnataka, Odisha, Tamil Nadu, Kerala are the states where the situation in many districts is a cause of concern. The Union Health Secretary has written a letter to 9 states advising them to take effective steps to deal with COVID-19. These states are Arunachal Pradesh, Assam, Manipur, Meghalaya, Nagaland, Odisha, Tripura, Sikkim and Kerala. Especially northern districts of Kerala, including Kollam, Kozhikode and Thrissur, have shown weekly infection rate of more than 10%. Union Health Secretary Rajesh Bhushan, through his letter, advised Kerala to take comprehensive steps to deal with the prevailing COVID-19 situation. The Health Secretary expressed concern over rising death toll for the last 4 weeks and continuous increase in number of new cases in 7 districts of Kerala. He advised the state to take strict measures to deal with the current situation. Rajesh Bhushan asked Kerala to increase the number of daily tests and focus on improving health infrastructure. He also stressed on following COVID-19 appropriate behavior to curb cases. In view of the prevailing situation in Kerala, a central team also visited the state. The team went to Kollam and gathered information about the increasing COVID-19 cases. Significantly, during the last 24 hours, more than 10,000 new infections have been registered in the state. Meanwhile, lockdown has been imposed in 7 districts of Assam in view of the rising cases of COVID-19 infection. Lockdown will be in place in Lakhimpur, Gopalpada, Moregaon and Jorhat districts of Assam from 7th of July till further orders. If we look at the COVID statistics across the country, in the last 24 hours, 43,733 new cases have been registered. The total active cases have come down to 4,59,920. At the same time, a total of 47,240 patients have recovered from COVID-19. This was also the 55th consecutive day when recoveries outnumbered the daily new cases. The recovery rate has increased to 97.18%. In order to tackle the COVID-19 situation, vaccination drive has been going on in full swing across the country. So far, more than 36 crore doses of vaccines have been given to people. A total of 37.43 crore vaccine doses have been given to the states so far. On the other hand, preparations are going on to send additional 48,65,110 doses to the states. Bureau Report, DD India.
And in the context of the mega cabinet expansion that has taken place, all eyes have been on the portfolio distribution. My colleague Arun Sharma is joining us, and before that, let's look at the updates about the new faces of Union Cabinet. You're looking at Narayan Rane, the cabinet member. It's got Minister of Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises. We're looking at the distribution of portfolio as it has taken place amongst the ministers who've taken oath today. The new faces of the new Union Cabinet. We're showing you details one by one. Narayan Rane getting MSME. Sarbananda Sonowal is going to be the Minister of Ayush and also Minister of Ports, along with Minister, those are the responsibilities that Sarbananda Sonowal would be taking up with ports, shipping and waterways. We're looking at portfolio distributions of the ministers who've taken oath today with the expansion of the cabinet of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Moving on to the next one, Dr. Virendra Kumar, Cabinet Member, Minister of Social Justice, is the portfolio that he's received. And he's going to be the Minister of Social Justice. Dr. Virendra Kumar, the new Cabinet Member of the Modi government, Minister of Social Justice and Empowerment. Jyotiraditya Scindia, also the new cabinet member, gets Ministry of Civil Aviation. We're looking at the portfolio distribution of the new ministers one by one. Jyotiraditya Scindia gets Civil Aviation. Fresh faces in the Modi government. We're looking at the portfolio distribution one by one. Minister of Steel is going to be RCP Singh. Again, fresh faces in the Modi government. RCP Singh gets Ministry of Steel. And the updated data has come in about the portfolio distributions among the new ministers of the Modi government, and one by one on your screens you can see the manner in which portfolios have been distributed. Ministry of Railways, Ministry of Communications goes to Ashwani Vaishnav cabinet. He's also going to be Electronics Telecommunication Minister. So multiple profiles there to be handled by Ashwani Vaishnav. Next, Pashupati Nath Paras, Cabinet Minister, he gets Ministry of Food Processing Industries. Kiren Rijiju, who's received a promotion, is going to be Minister of Law and Justice, the Cabinet. And those are important portfolios, information about which has just been released. The 43 ministers who've taken oath today, the manner in which portfolio has been distributed among them. Kiren Rijiju there, the new Minister of Law and Justice. R.K. Singh is going to be the Minister of Power, also Minister of New and Renewable Energy. He's going to be taking care of the portfolios of power and new and renewable energy. R.K. Singh. The mega cabinet expansion, 43 ministers took oath of office and secrecy. And now that the information about portfolios have come, we on your screen are showing you one by one the updated portfolios received by the new ministers. Next, Hardeep Singh Puri, Cabinet Minister, Minister of Petroleum, also Housing and Urban Affairs. It's going to be Minister of Petroleum and Natural Gas. Mansukh Mandavia Cabinet takes over the crucial Ministry of Health and Family Welfare along with Chemicals and Fertilizer. He will also be looking into the challenge of the pandemic as the nation is facing today as Minister of Health and Family Welfare. Those are the updates coming in about the portfolio distribution of the new ministers who've taken oath. 43 new ministers have taken oath. And on your screen you can see the new Health Minister, Mansukh Mandavia. The mega cabinet expansion, NDA government, 43 ministers took oath of office in secrecy, 15 cabinet ministers, 28 ministers of state took oath. And we're looking at the updated figures as far as portfolio distribution to the ministers are concerned. Mansukh Mandavia gets the health and family welfare portfolio along with chemicals and fertilizers. A number of ministers have also received a promotion. We'll be updating you on that. Bhupendra Yadav, cabinet minister, gets Minister of Labour and Employment. Also Environment, Forest and Climate Change. So multiple portfolios to be handled by Bhupendra Yadav. Is the new Minister of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, and also Minister of Labour and Employment. This follows the swearing in of 43 ministers who took oath today in the mega cabinet expansion of Prime Minister Modi's government. 15 cabinet ministers and 28 ministers of state took oath today, and Bhupendra Yadav is going to manage the portfolios of labour and employment along with environment, forest and climate change. Next, Purushottam Rupala, cabinet minister, gets a Ministry of Fisheries, Animal Husbandry and Dairy. The new cabinet rejig is seen as a means to propel growth in the challenging times of the pandemic. And one by one, we're bringing you information about the manner in which portfolios have been distributed amongst various new ministers. You're looking at Purushottam Rupala, cabinet minister, who is now the Minister of Fisheries, Animal Husbandry and Dairy. Let's go on to the next one. G. Kishan Reddy, cabinet minister, is going to be the Minister of Culture. Also, he will handle Minister of Tourism alongside Ministry of Development. Moving on, Anurag Thakur, cabinet minister for Information and Broadcasting, crucial portfolio. Also is going to be Minister of Youth and Sports. And my colleague Vishal Baristo is joining us with more updates on the manner in which portfolio distribution has taken place. Vishal, new ministers, new portfolios, new challenge and new journey. How do you look at the manner in which the new team has been set up?
Once again, a very good evening to you. You've rightly said, new ministers, a new journey, and the time is tough, and so the tough has to get going. And that is why we have a young team full of energy, and which will also have a synergy with the vision of the Prime Minister. And the induction of Anurag Thakur as the Minister of Information and Broadcasting is definitely a welcome step, because he is young, and also he is having the Sports Ministry, also Youth Affairs, I beg your pardon. So Anurag Thakur has quite an experience because he has been in the BCCI, and Jyotirabaditya Scindia has had a long wait, but still he is there now as the Minister of Civil Aviation. Now that's a very, very important portfolio given to Jyotirabaditya Scindia. Jyotirabaditya Scindia played a crucial role in forming the BJP government, toppling the Congress government in Madhya Pradesh. So Aviation Ministry will have a new minister. Aviation Ministry will also have lot to do, especially after the pandemic, because Aviation Ministry sector will have a big role to play in the strengthening of the economy post the second wave. And Dharmendra Pradhan gets the education portfolio. Dharmendra Pradhan will also have to play a major role, because education policy is now in for a big revamp, because for a year, more than a year, students have had online classes, the no schools exams, some of them promoted, especially in the class 10 and 12. So it's going to be quite a challenging task, and the message is loud and clear. The Prime Minister wants things to roll, because the last one in the queue should be benefited. The pandemic has been a huge challenge, as I have been telling our viewers since morning. that post-pandemic has pulled the Indian economy down, but Prime Minister wants to use it to our advantage because India has also played a major role. Remember, we are the largest democracy of the world, and the world sees us as an upcoming economy. The 5 trillion dream of the Indian Prime Minister now will have to be realized, and these are the men who will have to get things done. Shubhendu?
Absolutely. And given the immediate challenge of the pandemic, Vishal, we must talk about the profile portfolio that has been received by Mansukh Mandavia as the new health minister. He has an uphill task in front of him, taking India safely out of the pandemic.
Well, certainly he has an uphill task, but then the Prime Minister has a lot of confidence in the new minister, and he has a lot of confidence. He comes from the same state, and he has been given a major role because health is the key sector that the country is facing. And there was a lot of criticism, especially as far as the health sector is concerned, by the opposition. So the Prime Minister does not want to give any space to the opposition. Obviously, the world was down with the second wave, and even the developed countries had a lot of things to take on. There was huge tragedy across the world, and that is why health sector is a very important portfolio, and Mansukh Mandavia will have to play a big role because he will be filling the shoes of Dr. Harshvardhan, who was again a doctor by profession. So here he has a big role to play, a challenging task, but at the same time, nothing is impossible when you have all the vision clear, when you have the intention clear, and the intent is very clear, and that is
right. Vishal, you stay with us while Arun is joining us with some more updates. My colleague Arun is getting us some more updates on the manner in which the portfolios have been distributed, the significance, and the road ahead. Let's connect with Arun. If you can have Arun on the screen with us. Arun, there you are. We were talking about Anurag Thakur as the new Information and Broadcasting Minister, also challenge of the Sports Ministry, and an important responsibility there, especially at the time of the pandemic, managing perception about India in the world, within India. It's a crucial task ahead.
So what we have seen in this cabinet expansion, Shubhendu, is that it's a blend of the youngsters and of course the experienced, ministers over here. So yes, Anurag Thakur has been given an important ministry as far as sports ministry is concerned, sports and youth affairs, and of course the INB ministry as well. You know this point that at a time when India is there at the Olympics, and when we know this fact that during the COVID pandemic time, how can a better sports ecosystem can be created in our country? How can better sports infrastructure can be created in our country? In that context, a young player primarily who is inexperienced as far as sports is concerned, this gives an advantage as well to this entire sector. That means youth affairs and of course the sports ministry. And in that context, the Anurag Thakur, he has been elevated, at cabinet rank. And of course, we know this fact that he'll be holding these two important portfolios, that is Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, and of course the important aspect is of the sports and the youth affairs as well. You also know this fact that as far as on the global arena is concerned, India, has become a country of primarily that has fought COVID, that has combated COVID-19. Be it supplying of the important healthcare equipment, healthcare devices, or the important drugs and the medicines, or just like hydroxychloroquine, or primarily be the big pharma manufacturer and developing or making two made in India vaccine like Covaxin and Covishield. India has played a significant role as far as fight against COVID-19 is concerned. So how can India be represented on this global arena? That important responsibility primarily also, goes to the young ministers in this new cabinet. Yes, apart from that, but also let me bring a perspective over here, Shubhendu, that when we talk about the blend of the youngsters and the experienced player, let me tell you the kind of elevation that we have seen. Hardeep Singh Puri, he was formerly the civil aviation minister, but now he has been elevated to the cabinet rank, and now he'll be holding an important portfolio, and that is the portfolio is of the petroleum ministry. That's an important aspect because at the time, energy ministry is going to be very much important because this is a time when India is going to change its gear from the renewables, non-renewable sources to primarily renewable sources of energy. And energy sector is going to play an important and crucial role in this post-COVID pandemic time. So Hardeep Singh Puri has been given this important task of the Petroleum Ministry. So that goes to him. But interestingly, the important aspect in last cabinet reshuffle, we saw that S. Jaishankar was a surprise entry, and he was brought in as an external affairs minister. This time around, Ashwini Vaishnav is a similar kind of a surprise entry. He is a technocrat, he is an entrepreneur primarily, and he is getting this portfolio of railways and of course electronics and information technology and communication. That means telecom, IT and railways. So how to bring in new synergy as far as these ministries are concerned, be it the railways ministry or with the IT and telecom ministry, often primarily because when India is looking forward to upgrade its infrastructure to 5G technology, the experience of ministers like Ashwini Vaishnav is going to play a significant role. So be it modernization of railways or upgrading your infrastructure as far as 5G technology is concerned, the experience that Mr. Ashwini Vaishnav is holding, because he has worked with big companies and corporates like Siemens as well, which are globally renowned companies. So his experience is going to play a significant role as far as India's 5G rollout is concerned, as far as upgrading India's IT infrastructure is concerned. And when we talk about the railways aspect as well, yes, a very crucial and important aspect as far as railway, because the focus of the Modi government as of now is also on the modernization of the railways aspect. Yes, all these, some of the big ministries, big elevation as far as cabinet ministers are concerned, be it Hardeep Singh Puri, Jyotiraditya Scindia, who gets civil aviation ministry primarily over here. So all these big portfolios, big elevations, and big surprises as well as far as this new cabinet expansion is concerned. Shubhendu?
Absolutely. And talking about the portfolio distribution, a lot of interest was also about what is Jyotiraditya Scindia going to lead. And he has received civil aviation ministry, incidentally also a portfolio that his father, Madhav Raj Scindia, headed earlier.
So yes, that's absolutely right. So now Mr. Scindia will be heading this portfolio of civil aviation ministry, and there is also one MOS, that means General VK Singh primarily will be having an MOS charge for the civil aviation ministry as well. We know this fact that this civil aviation ministry was looking for some young and energetic minister who can take lead as far as the aviation sector is concerned. When we know this fact that Air India, the Air India is all set for divestment part, we noticed that Jet Airways, which was a defunct airline, it is again making a comeback as far as Jet Airways is concerned. In this COVID pandemic time, we have seen that how it was a tough time for the airline sector completely, be it the airports or be it the airlines. So there was a need for a young and vibrant minister, young, energetic, and of course innovative a person or a minister with some innovative ideas and having some kind of experience, maybe as far as this sector is concerned, a technical know-how as far as this sector is concerned. So Mr. Scindia is completely fit now, because it was very much likely that Mr. Scindia is going to get aviation minister, because there was buzz in the market. All the beat reporters were guessing his name, that Mr. Scindia could of course be the aviation minister. The civil aviation portfolio could be given to him because of the fact that he's young and vibrant and energetic minister. And as of now, the aviation ministry is looking for new ideas and new and innovative solutions as well, because in this COVID pandemic time, we know this fact that current capacities of the domestic airline has been kept at 65%. As and when the virus cases goes down, yes, there is a need to increase or ramp up the capacities of the domestic airlines are concerned. Gradually, we know this fact that various international destinations are also opening up the market. So how can new carriers be brought in? How can new airlines more and more flying routes can be allotted, because we know this fact that Jet Airways is again going to make a comeback. As far as before earlier defunct, Air India is going to get divested now. The process is of course is in place. So all these are the big challenges, big tasks in front of Mr. Scindia as far as the civil aviation ministry is concerned. On the other side, he's also having a tough task on the fact, because in this COVID pandemic time, we know this fact that as far as airline sector is concerned, the demand is primarily not picking up equal to the pre-COVID levels. So how the demand picks up, that's number one. What more policy level changes need to be done as far as domestic travel or international travel is concerned, so that primarily the demand picks up. Third, how can more and more international air bubbles can be formed with various countries? So this negotiations will also take place. So in that context, this young minister, Mr. Scindia, is going to be very much crucial as far as the aviation ministry is concerned. But yes, let me tell you that these kind of elevation, this kind of this kind of upgradation as far as this cabinet is concerned, is going to ensure that how can new India be created, how can aspirations of 130 crore people, 130 crore Indians primarily can be fulfilled, And as far as under the regime of Hardeep Singh Puri, the aviation minister, we saw that a Hawaii chappal, a person wearing Hawaii chappal could afford, Hawaii safar. So what Mr. Scindia does now as far as aviation sector is concerned, how he revamps this entire sector of aviation, all eyes will be on that aspect as well.
Right. Arun, stay with us while we once again connect with our colleague Vishal, who continues to be tracking all the updates. Vishal, along with new ministers, new ministries have also come up. Ministry of Cooperation garnered a lot of interest. What is the latest that updates that you're tracking right now? And what is this ministry about, if you can tell us about it?
Well, Shubhendu, the Ministry of Cooperation would be spearheading the movement of cooperation across the country, and it's a very, very important portfolio which has been rightly given to the Home Minister, who has always been a very close aide of the Prime Minister. Amit Shah would be having this new portfolio. The ministry was created only a day before this rejig, so it is so important role that along with the Home Affairs, Amit Shah would be also heading this portfolio. But there has been interesting developments. So also, when we talking about the cabinet ministers and the big ministries, now we should also not forget that there are important MOS charges with independent charges. Like for example, Dr. Jitendra Singh. Dr. Jitendra Singh, who is an MOS in the PMO, has always had a lot of, very good rapport with the Prime Minister. He is a doctor by profession, but at the same time, he has been given independent charge of science and technology and space. Now, these are the important portfolios. If independent charge of Minister of State, independent charge of Ministry of Science and Technology, Minister of State, independent charge of Ministry of Earth Sciences, and along with that, he has personal public grievances and pensions as MOS, and Minister of State in the Department of Atomic Energy, and Minister of State in the Department of Space. Right. So, Dr. Jitendra Singh, who has played a key role not only as the MOS in the Prime Minister's office, but also in Jammu and Kashmir development, because he comes from that area, Jammu, and also Northeast. Now he has been given so important portfolios with independent charges as well. So quite an interesting development, and the message is loud and clear. I've been saying it since morning. The Prime Minister wants things to roll. Prime Minister wants that the country should have the benefit, should reap the benefits of all the vision of the Modi government, of all the good work the Modi government is doing, and for that we needed a team, and this is the right time. The second wave is on the decline, and now we need to pull up our socks. The government has to perform, and the government has to deliver. So this message has been given. We have seen how big names have been asked to resign, and fresh faces have been filling their shoes. And quite an interesting ministerial births. You have a person like Jyotiraditya Scindia, who will be heading the civil aviation. Obviously, quite an emotional attachment with the ministry, as you rightly informed our viewers that his father, Madhurav Scindia, used to hold that portfolio, and now he will be heading that portfolio. So, like a baton change, not direct in the right directly, but still, we talk about the family. Madhurav Scindia in Congress, but Jyotiraditya Scindia, Civil Aviation Minister from BJP. So definitely a lot of surprises, but the message is one, and that is perform and perform.
Right. Also, Vishal, if we look at it in its entirety, the manner in which the new team has come into place, it does represent a significant diversity from across states, from across communities, from across professions and expertise. The new team of Modi 2.0.
Well, absolutely. Modi government, ever since it took over in 2014, it has always been encouraging technocrats, professionals, experts, because the Modi government believes that we should encourage and implement new ideas for the benefit of the masses, and that is what we have seen here also. Hardeep Singh Puri, bureaucrat, now has been elevated to the cabinet minister. S. Jaishankar, a bureaucrat, he is now continues to be the external affairs minister. So a lot of confidence the Prime Minister has, and this shows the vision of the government, that it sees beyond the usual rut, it sees beyond the usual practice, and that is to pick up the best. It is like cherry picking. You get the best in your basket, and then you can plan for the future, you can also deliver. So definitely quite an interesting move. But the young team, though the ministry, the list wasn't out, but we could all anticipate as journalists what happened in Uttarakhand. Like the chief minister, out of the blue, his name just came up, and to everybody's surprise, two-time MLA now would be heading the chief minister's role in Uttarakhand. Remember, we are having elections in important states like UP and Uttarakhand. So it was also taken care of. Allies have been taken care of, the weaker sections have been taken care of, and especially the fairer sex has been taken care of.
Right. Vishal, stay with us. Arun, if I can come to you. I want to talk about former Assam Chief Minister Sarbananda Sonowal, who has received the important cabinet portfolio of Minister for Ports, Shipping and Waterways. Port-led development has been a key agenda of New India, of the development in the coming years. He takes over this crucial ministry, and he brings with him a lot of experience as an efficient administrator.
So there are a couple of aspects to look at this point when we talk about Sarbananda Sonowal, and there is also perspective to it. We know this fact that Sarbananda Sonowal is from Northeast, and when we talk about this new cabinet, primarily Shubhendu, the new cabinet focuses upon the fact that how can the ministers can represent each and every part, region, caste, community of the country. Now, when we talk about northeastern part of the country, there are a couple of ministers who make their representations as far as the new cabinet is concerned, and it is going to be a tough task for Mr. Sarbananda Sonowal as well, because earlier Ports and Shipping Ministry was with Mansukh Mandavia, who is now the Health Minister. Right. So he takes this ministry from Mansukh Mandavia, and apart from the Shipping and the Port Ministry, Mr. Sarbananda Sonowal also takes the Ayush Mantralaya. So the important aspect is that yes, a northeastern connect, an experienced leader, and we know this fact that apart from being experienced leader, he has also been the CM, as far as the northeastern region is concerned. He's the CM from the northeastern part of the country, the former CM primarily. So he is an able administrator. He has got that experience of ruling a state, and of course after that he's getting this important portfolio of Shipping and Port Ministry. Now, why this ministry is important? Now the government of India is focusing upon the port-led development. So how can more ports be created? The focus is on cruise tourism aspect as well, and how can cruise tourism in our country can be given a major push. So in that context, this ministry is going to play an important role. Various aerodromes are being constructed. Now, under the leadership of Mansukh Mandavia, when he was the Shipping and Port Minister, at that time the focus was on creating aerodromes. So now from that, when Sarbananda Sonowal takes from Mansukh Mandavia, what important or significant things can he do as far as port-led development is concerned? Because we know this fact that now in the post-COVID world, the interesting part was that India's exports were increasing. There was good, a demand, a collapse as far as exports are concerned. So it was because of the port-led development that we have seen in our country. Apart from that, shipping ministry or private shipping industry has played an important role in this COVID pandemic time as well. And interestingly, when we talk about the Ayush Mantralaya, that also goes to Sarbananda Sonowal. So Ayush is something that World Health Organization, the WHO, has also commended and appreciated the work of the Ayush Mantralaya. And Ayush Ministry is something that is making its mark, not only in India but globally as well. Globally, various other countries have come forward to understand the science behind Ayush Mantralaya. It is because of the Ayush Mantralaya, Shubhendu, we have seen that even during the COVID pandemic time, various things, techniques, food habits, and a variety of things were adopted from the Ayush Ministry, or the Ayush Ministry came up with the guidelines as to how during the COVID pandemic time you can protect yourself, prevent yourself, from this COVID-19. But the two important ministries, that means Shipping and Port Ministries, goes to Sarbananda Sonowal, and of course the Ayush Mantralaya as well. And let me tell you that in this new cabinet, when we talk about this cabinet expansion is a kind of a rainbow, which brings out the cabinet ministers from various parts of our country, from various regions, caste, community. So it's a kind of rainbow. And the youngsters are also there, and the ministers who have got the experience of holding or managing the state level legislator, or being MLA, or being the state chief minister, Out of which Saravanan Sonowal is one of the prominent and heavyweight names that will be holding this important portfolio of shipping and ports, and of course the Ayush Ministry as well. It is going to be a very tough task for Saravanan Sonowal as well, because a lot of work has been done as far as shipping ministry is concerned, as far as Ayush Mantralaya is concerned. The big task is that what is the way forward as far as these two important ministries and portfolio are concerned. What innovative ideas and methods we can see from Saravanan Sonowal, who is known for some innovative ideas. We have seen that how he has brought reforms and progress as far as Northeast region is concerned. Can we expect the same kind of charisma as far as these two portfolios are concerned? That remains to be seen.
Right, Arun, stay with us. Meghna is connecting with us with more inputs about the manner in which portfolios have been distributed. Meghna, you know, every cabinet rejig, there are always some surprise names. Arun did mention some time back, Ashwini Vaishnav, very interesting with the portfolios that he has been given responsibility of. Minister of Railways, he is going to be Minister of Communications, and also Minister of Electronics and Information Technology. Now, Meghna, each of these ministries is at a very crucial point in time where it's looking into the future with updates, with reforms that have to take place. Railways have to be modernized. It is in that cusp of things, as it were. So huge responsibility for someone who brings in a lot of experience as a professional, Ashwini Vaishnav.
Yes, absolutely, Shubhendu. When we talk about Ashwini Vaishnav, as you already said, Ministry of Railways, very important portfolio, earlier was being handled by Piyush Goyal, and especially at this juncture when the Ministry of Railways really needs a big boost, because several trains, the railways had not been, many trains had not been working during the pandemic, and the railway has been hit hard by the pandemic, obviously, because not the as number of trains are flying as many running on the tracks as we were doing earlier, but obviously at this point of time new reforms need to be introduced in the railways. Besides that, special trains, we had Oxygen Express, we had railways has not been only doing now the passenger the traveling of passengers, but also has been doing the cargo thing very importantly, and besides that, Minister of Communications, Minister of Electronics and Information Technology, that had also been given to Ashwini Vaishnav. Very important portfolios, and especially when we talk about the Ministry of Railways, a very, very big important portfolio going into his kitty. Besides that, very important major portfolio obviously going to Mansukh Mandavia,
yes.
As he becomes the Minister of Health and Family Welfare, besides being the Minister of Chemicals and Fertilizers. Obviously, Mansukh Mandavia, in the recent times, we had seen him, going to different places, the places where vaccine manufacturing is taking place. We had seen him visiting all those places. Besides that, also, the arrangement of amphotericin B, liposomal amphotericin B, or, just because obviously he was also the Minister of Shipping. So that also definitely makes a very important difference in him, in his experience of now how he is going to handle the health ministry. And at this point of time, the health ministry becomes a very important ministry to handle, because, we are in times of a pandemic, and every step that the health ministry takes directly or indirectly affects other ministries as well. So definitely this is something to look out for, and how Mansukh Mandavia, because he would take charge, and after that, what kind of things he brings to, and when we are just, have been able to break through the second wave peak, after that, how the health ministry is going to work forward, that would be important to see. Besides that, when we talk about other portfolios, we have Bhupendra Yadav, who has become the Minister of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, and also the Minister of Labour and Employment. Besides that, very important another portfolio that goes to Purushottam Rupala. He gets the Minister of Fisheries, Animal Husbandry and Dairying. Earlier, he was the MOS for farmers, agriculture and farm welfare. So this very important portfolio, Minister of Fisheries, Animal Husbandry and Dairying, goes to Purushottam Rupala. So all these portfolios are very important. And as we were talking about the Ministry of Railways, Darshana Jardosh, MP from Surat, she has been given, the charge of MOS of Railways. So that also very important charge going to another MP from Gujarat. And definitely, Mansukh Mandavia, when I was telling you about, a very young minister, as we can tell you, very young minister. He's a very hardly 49 or 50 years of age, very young minister he is, and at this point of time, his experience with chemical fertilizers, his experience with the Ministry of Shipping, all of that would obviously come in handy, because when we talk about the Ministry of Health for now, it definitely impacts a lot on other ministries when we talk about commerce, trade, or other ministries as well. Besides that,
And
We
Meghna, I
have,
wanted to ask you
different
about Ministry of Information and Broadcasting that has gone to Anurag Singh Thakur. He also is now the new Minister of Youth Affairs and Sports. With Tokyo Olympics around the corner, all eyes would be on how he takes that leadership position from here on.
Absolutely, at this point of time, it definitely becomes important, because when, we earlier had also seen that, the sports practice of people had all, the sports person had also suffered because of the pandemic, and when still the sports person and all the arrangements were made for them, and they are participating in the Tokyo Olympics with all their just. So this becomes very important at this point of time to boost the morale of our sports persons and also build such an infrastructure that it can thrive through and post the pandemic as well. So this becomes extremely important, and Anurag Thakur besides that also has the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. So very big two ministries going into his kitty, and besides that, when we talk about Dr. L. Murugan, he is also the MOS for Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. He has been Tamil Nadu BJP chief, and besides that, he also has become the MOS for Ministry of Fisheries, Animal Husbandry and Dairy. So important ministries going into his city as well. So when we talk about the Ministry of Information Broadcasting, now it has an MOS, Dr. L. Murugan, and obviously the Cabinet Minister Anurag Thakur. Besides that, Piyush Goyal has got the Ministry of Textiles, which was earlier with Smriti Irani. So Piyush Goyal and the railway has obviously gone to Ashwini Vaishnav, and Piyush Goyal has now got Commerce and Industry, Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution, and the Ministry of Textiles. Very importantly, another major a major change that has happened is obviously in the Ministry of Education, which has gone to Dharmendra Pradhan, and then we know that the National Education Policy, the implementation of the National Education Policy becomes extremely important at this point of time. When we talk about the digital, online classes and everything has gone online, it becomes extremely important on that front, that how the National Education Policy will be implemented, and especially during the pandemic, when the academics has suffered a lot, and we had seen that hardly schools are working. The chalk and talk method of the traditional chalk and talk method of teaching has deteriorated and is nowhere to be seen now. So everything has gone online. So
Dharmendra Pradhan is also the Minister of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship. This 360-degree reform that we're talking about in the education sector, more vocational courses, more employable students and trained professionals. So in that respect, crucial responsibility falls on his shoulder.
Absolutely, very crucial responsibility at this point of time when employment stands at a very crucial juncture, because employment generation is something that is going to revive the economy. When we are, we are on our way and we are trying hard to, revive and get back with the economy back on track, and besides that become the growth engine, then we're reviving the global economy as well. But besides that, when we talk about skill development, entrepreneurship, we obviously had seen, startup summits, hackathons, and all these things had taken place in the past. And when, Dharmendra Pradhan gets this ministry, it will be very important to see how he takes this entrepreneurship skill development sector and how he uses it to generate employment, because entrepreneurship skill development is in some manner linked to education as well. So he has got these both very important portfolios that are in some way interlinked, and skill development entrepreneurship is definitely going to generate more employment, which is very crucial at this point of time. So, big major changes have been done in such ministries which directly or indirectly are also impacting economy, our crop, employment, agriculture, our dairy, animal husbandry. So all of these are becoming really important, and because when tomorrow, when some of these ministers will be taking charge, and it is expected that most of the ministers will be taking charge tomorrow, we will have to see what reactions they give and what blueprint they present in the near coming future, because without wasting any time, it is time to get to work and get to action, because there are so many things waiting in the pipeline, and the pandemic has actually hit hard several sectors, be it tourism, be it culture, be it
absolutely.
Be it civil aviation.
One of the sectors hit hard by the pandemic, of course, is the civil aviation sector. It needed an energized leadership. It has received that in the form of Jyotiraditya Scindia. What kind of experience, what kind of energy does he bring in as a young leader and administrator?
absolutely, it will be very important to see what kind of zeal he brings to the civil aviation sector, because the civil aviation sector in the very recent past has achieved a very important feat of repatriating people stranded in other countries with the Vande Bharat mission. So it was a very important feat that the aviation ministry had got, and when Jyotiraditya Scindia takes over as the civil aviation minister, it would become very important to see that when the civil aviation sector is also struck, how is because all of these portfolios and all the responsibilities that are being given, it is in some manner or the other for the revival, for new blueprints, new plans and fresh plans. That is the reason several youth have also many young faces we can see in the cabinet and in the in the Minister of States as well. So young ministers have been inducted into the cabinet so that to give a fresh thought process and revive and reinvigorate the entire zeal, and in some sense bring in new ideas and new things to move forward with. And very importantly, this also indicates to that, and when young people have been given an opportunity in such crucial, important, heavyweight ministries, as we call it in in general language, these are heavyweight ministries to be given to, and when young people have been inducted, very, very crucial, very important, and something to look forward to.
Right, Meghna, you stay with us. Let's go back to Vishal, who's getting us some more updates and details. Vishal, talking about a crucial movement towards the future for the country. Its commitment to climate and environment change is something that requires a lot of investment and interest. Bhupendra Yadav is going to be the Minister of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, also Minister of Labour and Employment. So two distinct ministerial responsibilities for him.
Well, absolutely, Shubhendu, but let me tell you that Bhupendra Yadav is a lawyer by profession, and he has had a long experience working in the Sangathan of the BJP, and also has played a crucial role when it comes to showing his role in the party, whether it is the Bihar elections or the UP elections, because I was there when he was closely monitoring the elections in UP, and in both the states BJP won the election. So this has been also given as a gift to the person who has had a long stint within the party. Obviously he was MP from Rajasthan, but still he was playing a crucial role for the party. He silently was working for the party, and now these important ministries, because India has been a signatory to the Paris Agreement, and the Prime Minister said that India walks the talk as far as the Paris Agreement is concerned, and it's shown its leadership and also shown the way to the developed countries as well as to what major role India can play as far as the environment is concerned, because the pandemic has thrown up new challenges. The pandemic has also given us new ideas as to how we can improve upon our environment. We need clean environment, we need better environment, so to better our immunity as well. But then talking also about the surprise element. Now we have Meenakshi Lekhi, who is a lawyer by profession. She has been given, beg your pardon, the MOS External Affairs. Now that's a very, very important position for her. And also Rajiv Chandrasekhar, spokesperson for the BJP, and he has been given the important portfolio of MOS in Ministry of Skill Development, Entrepreneurship, and Minister of State in the Ministry of Electronics and IT. That is a very, very crucial ministry that he would be there serving as the deputy. And you know that he comes from an affluent family, and all his family history as well, and also his stakes in the major news channel. So he is going to play a major role as far as the vision of the Modi government is concerned.
Right. As far as vision of the government is concerned, kickstarting the economy, of course, is an important challenge, and within that larger agenda, empowering the MSME sector is going to be crucial, because in terms of the manner in which it provides supports to the economy and employment in the country, Narayan Rane is going to be the Minister of MSME sector. Important challenge for him as well.
Well, absolutely important challenge for him, and a very important message given to the state of Maharashtra, because Maharashtra, if Delhi is the capital of the country, then Maharashtra is certainly the financial capital of the country. And when you have this important portfolio for the minister, MSME will definitely play, is going to play a major role, because in the pandemic we have seen how major industries, they have seen the migration of labor and all. But when you have MSMEs do not require large piece of land and more infrastructure, large infrastructure. The MSMEs can also have skills, entrepreneurship, and also startups. So this is going to be an employment generation for the country. And MSME, I tell you, Shubhendu, that is the future of a 5 trillion dream of Indian economy, and is going to play a major role in that direction. So MSME definitely is a very, very important portfolio, and the people of Maharashtra would be happy that a person like Narayan Rane, who is a very, very senior politician from the state of Maharashtra, will be having this important portfolio as far as MSMEs is concerned.
Right, Vishal, also if we take an overview, this government has also become younger in terms of age. The average age has now come down to 58 from 61 years. That's an important aspect of the democracy as well. We talk about demographic advantage, needs and expectations and aspirations of the young. We also see that the government in that sense is also becoming younger.
Well, absolutely, as a democracy is maturing. Remember, we are celebrating 75 years of independence, and this is whole year the government has been celebrating the Amrit Mahotsav. At this juncture, when we have a young ministry, then the message is loud and clear that India is young in its approach and also maturing in its democratic setup, because India is also the largest democracy of the country. And when we look in the neighborhood, we have had countries where we have democracies, but at the same time we have trouble also. Now, without naming our neighbor, though they have a democratically elected government, but you know that the army is calling the shots, and that is what gives an advantage to a country like India. And India plays a crucial role when it comes to a country like China, which does not have that kind of democracy that we have. India is also enjoying its democracy, it's also maturing its democracy, but at the same time, the young government, which has come down from 61 years to 58 years, is also a message that the young guns are ready to fire up and fire for the development of the country, fire for the good of the country, fire for the progress of the country, and also ready to take on any eventuality from the unseen enemy, which is the virus, and also from anywhere across the borders. So when the government is strong enough, then nobody can have an evil eye on you, and that is what the message has been given, not only within the country, not only to the opposition parties, but also to all the countries across the borders.
Right, Vishal, let me get Arun in here talking about young guns. Arun, we've been talking about the new cabinet ministers. Let's also talk about Minister of State. All right, Meghna will be connecting with us. Meghna, talking about the young guns of the new cabinet. The name that comes up, we talk about the MOS, Anupriya Singh Patel, Minister of State in Ministry of Commerce and Industry. Again, we're talking about kickstarting the economy, strengthening its various aspects. Commerce and industry, crucial. And here's a young leader taking charge of it as MOS.
Yes, absolutely. In the evening itself, I spoke to Anupriya Patel at her residence, and she was full of confidence and very ecstatic that, being so young, she has been given this opportunity. She has obviously been in the Uttar Pradesh Assembly as well, and found her way to the Parliament as well. So definitely a big feat for her. Besides that, she is also an MBA. So definitely her education might just help her understand the dynamics of the ministries that she has been handled, she has been given. So that is very importantly, young guns, when we talk about, very essentially, when we talk about Anurag Thakur or, other ministers for that matter, very essentially, young people have been given, importance, because definitely, young ideas, fresh ideas, And when we talk about young India, digital India, new India, so all of these aspirations definitely, walking the talk with inducting new, young faces, and especially women faces for that matter. Very importantly, these things have come across, and very quickly would like to go through some very important, portfolios just for our viewers to, get to know it again. Prahlad Joshi has been given Ministry of Coal and Ministry of Mines, and also the Ministry of Parliamentary Affairs he is. And Sarbanand Sonowal, very importantly, given Ministry of Port, Shipping and Waterways, which was earlier with Mansukh Mandavia. So he has been given that ministry. Besides that, he is also going to be the cabinet minister for the Ministry of Ayush, very importantly. Besides that, Mukhtar Abbas Naqvi continues to handle the Minister of Minority Affairs portfolio. And Giriraj Singh, there has been change in his portfolio. He has been given the Ministry of Rural Development and the Ministry of Panchayati Raj. He earlier had Animal Husbandry and Dairies. And obviously, we spoke about Jyotiraditya Scindia being given the Ministry of Civil Aviation. Besides that, Ashwini Vaishnav, very important key three ministries, Ministry of Railways, Communications, Electronics and IT, very importantly, because we were recently having the Global COVID Conclave, So, all these things, IT advent that India has, path-breaking things that India has done in the IT sector. He will definitely have the vision to carry it forward, and as he takes charge for these ministries. Besides that, Pashupati Kumar Paras, allies have been also given a very important, as you were also talking about Anita Patel, obviously she's also an ally of the BJP, she's in the NDA. Definitely allies have also been given place in the ministry, in the Ministry of States as well as in the cabinet. Pashupati Kumar Paras has been given the Ministry of Food Processing Industries. Besides that, Gajendra Singh Shekhawat continues to remain the Minister of Jal Shakti. Kiren Rijiju has been given the Ministry of Law and Justice. Hardeep Singh Puri has got a bit of change but continues to keep the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. Hardeep Singh Puri has been given the charge also of the Petroleum and Natural Gas Ministry. Very important two portfolios, heavyweight portfolios given to Hardeep Singh Puri. Besides that, we were already speaking of Upendra Yadav having the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, which was earlier with Prakash Javadekar, and he's also been given the Ministry of Labour and Employment. Mansukh Mandavia, very importantly, being given the Ministry of Health and Chemical Welfare, Health and Family Welfare, and Ministry of Chemical and Fertilizers. Obviously, when we talk about the pharmaceutical things in the health sector, it has got to do a lot with the Ministry of Chemicals. So definitely quite interlinked in in that sense.
Right, Meghna, also
yes.
young leadership that has come into being from cabinet. Let's move a little to the MOS because they're more in number. We have Shantanu Thakur as the Minister of State in Ministry of Ports, Shipping and Waterways, and John Balla from Bengal, Minister of State in Ministry of Minority Affairs. So we also see an influx of a lot of young leadership in a crucial position in this cabinet expansion as well.
Definitely, and would also like to add the name of Rajiv Chandrasekhar very importantly, because he has also been taken the charge of the Minister of State, and he is the Minister of State for Skill Development and Entrepreneurship. So he will be there with Dharmendra Pradhan to handle the portfolio, and obviously he has also been given the Minister of State in the Ministry of Electronics and IT. Very important two portfolios, and we can definitely see that the young cadre of the Minister of State or be it the cabinet minister, all of them have definitely got very important ministries, not just ministries that do not impact much on different things, but these are very key ministries that impact day-to-day lives of people, and especially when we talk about the Skill Development Entrepreneurship Ministry, when we talk about other ministries as well. So all of this definitely impacts quite a lot, and besides that, women have also been given very important portfolios, especially when I was talking about Darshana Jadhav, she has been given the Ministry of Textiles as the MOS, and also the Ministry of Railways as the MOS. She is the MP from Surat. Besides that, definitely very important portfolio being given to Meenakshi Lekhi, as she will be having the Ministry of External Affairs as the Minister of States, as well as she will also be the MOS for the Ministry of Culture. So very important portfolios being given to the women also in the cabinet and the Council of Ministers. Anupriya Patel, as we already said, she has got the Minister of State for the Ministry of Commerce and Industry. Renuka Saruta, she has got the MOS for Ministry of Tribal Affairs. Annapurna Devi, she has got MOS for the Ministry of Education. So obviously she'll be the MOS for Ministry of Education, Annapurna Devi, and definitely these are very important key names that we see the women representation in the cabinet as well, and definitely we have Smriti Irani as the Minister of WCD, continuing as the Minister of WCD.
Absolutely, Meghna, with a better women's representation, the representation that has also improved from earlier is the representations from weaker sections. We have now representation from the SC community, the 12 ministers, from ST, from OBC. So in that manner, the weaker section finding more representations in the top offices of the country, and does send a message back to the country where the weakest of all finds a representation and a voice in the corridors of power.
Definitely reflecting on the philosophy of Antyodaya, and definitely another thing that when we have representation from India is a very versatile, diverse country. So having representation from different languages, different cultures, different sects, different societies, different communities definitely will enhance the understanding of the government more, especially at this hour, because there might be different requirements of different places with regards to trains flying, the trains running on the tracks. Definitely different requirements for food, different requirements for health. So all these things definitely would become more, the government will have more knowledge of these requirements of the people if they have representation from those communities, those areas, those far-flung areas. If they have representation in their government, they'll be getting to know it and they can resolve it in that matter. And definitely such a diverse, huge, it's almost over 75, around 75 total number of cabinet MOS ministers that the Modi government has as of now. It's a huge representation from across the country. And earlier it was somewhere around 45 to 46 ministers that were there, but now it has expanded, and it has expanded. And how? Because the Modi government has been trying to induct as many as representatives from different societies, cultures, backgrounds, be it the SC, ST, OBC, or tribals, all of this has been represented, and that is extremely important to, understand and implement the policies, the, plans that the yojanas that the government has for the common people, and to make it reach to the last person. Obviously, following the philosophy of Antyodaya, making everything reach to the last person in the queue. It is extremely important to understand the requirements of the people, and these people from diverse regions and versatile, backgrounds will definitely be able to do that. Besides that, we also have doctors, we have lawyers, we have, highly educated people, qualified people, bureaucrats in the cabinet and in the Minister of State as well. So definitely all of this is definitely going to impact a lot of decision making, policy making, and also the implementation of those policies, because as we have seen, Dr. S. Jaishankar has become, he has already been handling the Minister of External Affairs. He was a bureaucrat, so definitely that impacts quite a lot, experience impacts quite a lot, and this is a very clear message out from the Modi government to the people that our cabinet, our Council of Ministers want to represent every sector from amongst you, every person from amongst you, so that we can hear your voices. So definitely this is one reflection of the entire country in the Modi government as of now.
Right, Meghna, thanks very much for getting us those perspectives. Also, thank you to Vishal and Arun for getting us those updates. We were talking about the manner in which portfolios have been distributed amongst the newly acquired ministers. Mega cabinet expansion of the NDA took place. 43 ministers took oath of office, and now the portfolio distribution information has also been shared. With those updates, we conclude this bulletin. Namaskar.